They were dragged into this thing. Their sons are being sent off to die en masse. For what? So that is a message I think needs to be delivered to the Russian people. And that if the war ends, this is one thing in the West we need to think about, if the Russians start to behave in a better way, how do you reward that behavior? Because that's one thing I've seen too in the last 10, 15 years. It's always punishment, but there's very little talk about what is the reward for good behavior, right? For pulling troops out of Ukraine, out of Georgia, right? Trying to, be better to your neighbors, to stopping the disinformation operations, to stopping the cyber attacks. If that happens, how do you say, okay, well, that's a good sign. Like, how do we engage now in a positive way and make it worthwhile for the people of Russia, right? And I know, like, Ukrainians listen to this, they're all going to get mad at me, and I can understand why. It's very emotional, but I do think we have to think about how do you encourage those Russians that want to behave in a positive way to behave positively, so that they don't see that everyone is against them. That is one thing that Ronald Reagan did, and I think it was very effective. So I was a student in Moscow in the 80s, and it was the height of the Cold War, and yet every Soviet I met, they loved Ronald Reagan. There was a reason.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan, actually the one who's respected across the world, and even by the people in Soviet Union, I would say, right? So yes, and he was like the one who did a very good job. And let's see what happens, what I'm trying to say. And that would be great that, as soon as possible, we'll be able to make that happen and really stop this bloody war and all these operations.